Good afternoon and welcome to Awakened Wellness. Marie and myself, Jocelyn, are glad that you could join us. We had a couple of months off. We had Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, we had the New Year's, and so we are back and on schedule, and Miss Marie has been absolutely busy. I'll throw it out a little early, we'll talk about it later, but she wrote a book over the holidays. What did I do? I made muffins. So, you can just see what I'm dealing with, brains and everything over here. So I'm going to have to get busy, I guess. Welcome back. Happy New Year.
You too.
So glad to have you.
That's fun.
I know our first show is going to be Pathways to Wellness, but as usual,
Recaps.
we've got recaps. People sending you messages, questions, notices. What have they been saying?
The first one is an awareness of somebody. She had a major surgery. She had her shoulder replaced.
Oh, that's big.
And doing that, because she's somebody who more frequents alternative medicine than the Western model of medicine, she had her own ideas of how everything should work out.
Okay.
And how the rehab should work out. So from the day she had it done, she didn't like what the doctor was telling her. She was trying to go against all of that. She had her own way of thinking how it was going to rehab. And unfortunately, she was misguided.
Oh, dear.
Because the awareness that she's had to come into terms with is one part of medicine is very limited and the other one is so broad that you think anything goes.
Okay.
And when you are living in both worlds but not seeing them for what they are, it can really take you on a sordid path.
Okay.
So the awareness that she had to have that this was major, this is life-changing, there's always going to be side effects, and it's not that instant gratification that she thought is just...
Wow.
But she's not the only one. I see it all the time. Because we're just too out here thinking anything's possible, and then we're so limited here, and we're mad at this system all the time, but we don't understand there's a middle. There's always a middle, and we have to keep bringing ourselves
back. We have to stop living out
back.
here on the edges. We need to come
and
together.
we need to understand what we're allowing to happen to us and why they say to do the things that they do.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we both had a friend that had shoulder surgery as well.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting journey.
Yeah.
So what else have you been told?
I had another client, and this is kind of a sad story because it's the difference between the two medicines blending. So she's recently been diagnosed with breast cancer, but she's been always doing more the alternative route.
Okay.
And she's had a lot of health issues and emotional issues, and she had a major concussion, and then she has PCOS, which is hormonal issues, and she's had a lot of inflammatory issues and everything else. So she finally, because the alternative world wasn't really helping some of her issues, she went the Western model and she did hormonal therapy, and she felt the best she ever felt in her life. She got diagnosed 6 months later with breast cancer, and the alternative practitioner, whom is a Western model, pretty much blamed her because of the hormones caused it. And my heart sunk because this poor woman thinks she wronged herself in so many ways, but she said it was the first time I felt good in 15 years and I had a life. And I had to explain to her how there were so many other reasons and nobody knows exactly why, and that was unprofessional and uncalled for because we're extremists. So again, we got to go down the middle. And what this woman did to this woman who was already suffering and putting that blame on her is unforgivable.
Yeah.
Because this is a professional. But it's not the first time I've seen this. So again, that's why I'm bringing it forward. Because we have to start really understanding that there is no real answer to anything, and nothing is good or bad. And that you can't just put a blanket statement on something and put that kind of pressure on a person who's suffering.
Right. You have to be open to when it start getting the tickle. Sorry. Sorry, people. We have to find out what's best for us without blocking out one or the other. We have to say what is really, like you've said, go within, find out what makes sense to you. If that woman felt so fabulous, it's just devastating.
The alternative practitioner, who's also a nurse practitioner, believes that all drugs are bad, especially hormones. So she has her own theories. So in her mind, it did happen. That is what created the breast cancer. So she, in her world, maybe she's not wrong in her mind.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Gotcha. Wow.
So,
Weigh everything.
But every practitioner has an ego, and every practitioner has an opinion of how they interpret what they read. So as a consumer, we have to match that with what we need, because you're never going to find the perfect person, but you have to align with them.
Correct.
You have to align with them.
Wow. Do your own research. Okay.
So the last one is a nice story. It's no more yucky stories. This one is a client. He's an older, he has a 10-year-old son who's struggling a lot, but he comes from where his dad wasn't around. And we talked a lot about it and what he understood fatherhood to be. And I asked him why he wasn't taking his son hiking and ice fishing and all of those. And he goes, well, he's not old enough. I go, well, of course he is.
Well, what's the right age?
Well, he doesn't know.
Oh, okay.
Right? So the next thing you know, he did start doing that. And he's just in awe of the relationship he's starting to have with his son. So he's breaking the patterns because he thinks, you know, that he must supposed to be older to do certain things. So it's just kind of cool to see how he's learning a new way of being, and it's paying off.
Breaking out of those chains, that indoctrination that we all have at so many varying degrees, that we need to be able to break those chains off and be able to see what is in front of us.
And he's also been working more as a partner with his wife and seeing that,
excellent.
You know, when you come from a broken home, people think you should just know these things.
No, you don't
know. You don't know.
It's actually
so
the opposite.
life is so exploratory and such a learning curve, and that unless it's come across for you to completely know that it exists, you don't know to do it. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
Well, it's a learning experience.
And I hear people tell me all the time, well, they should know that. They should know that. They might not. And it might have never come across their path, or they might have never had the epiphany to understand why they should know that.
Wow. Or realize that it was different.
So that's a cool story.
That's a very good story.
Okay.
All right,
now,
so going forward,
Pathways to Wellness.
Pathways to Wellness, and available on Amazon.
So what has driven this for me through the holidays is exactly the same reason that you talked to me when we first came in, saying your son was saying all these ambulances were being diverted from southern New Hampshire, St. Joe's, to
down to Boston. Boston, Mass General, and the main hospitals down there are taking in more ER patients than ever before from surrounding states.
Right, and my whole family works in hospitals, and my husband was talking about how the Elliott was trying to put up beds in a conference room, 40 extra beds because the ER overload, but they didn't have the staffing to even support what they had, never mind the extra beds. Yeah. You know, Parkland was diverting. CMC had shut down their ER at certain times because it's such an overflow of what's going on in our healthcare. And people keep saying people have to take better care of themselves. I get that. But what does that mean?
Where does that start?
Exactly. Nobody
How do you
knows.
accomplish that?
And there's so much information out there that you get bombarded with. Okay, I ate right today, so I must have done it. I did this, I exercised today, so I must have done it. But what does true healthcare mean? And what are you trying to accomplish to take care of yourself?
What's the end goal?
Right. And even my clients say, well, I did this and I did that. I go, but you haven't added anything to this. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So this is what you're supposed to do. Okay?
The self-care guidebook and wellness planner.
Right. Right. So it talks about what self-care is.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to get into that. But the whole thing is we need to have an answer and we need to have a way to help ourselves. So this may not be the perfect scenario. Somebody's going to pick it apart and say, you forgot this, or you didn't add this, or I don't like that. But everything that I give you is a way to spark something in you that you can figure it out for yourself too. And if you're doing my meditations of asking to see what you need to see every day and truly going inward, when you read this, you're going to start having epiphanies of whether it's right for you or not.
Well, I think with the first book that I had gotten with you, it felt like it gave an option, a variable, and so then you could go, oh, well, what about this?
Yes.
Whereas you never had that little epiphany, you never had that little seed to pick up and wonder.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll go over the table of contents real quick.
Okay.
So it talks about what your body within is and what you're trying to do in the meditation. Understanding the whole balance picture of self-care, of including your body, your mind, your spirit.
Okay.
It explains how uncomfortable you can get when you're trying to make changes, because that is life. Change is really hard.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we get into exercise. What does it mean to exercise? Does it have to be that aggressive? Do I have to go run? No. So it explains that movement is exercise and explains all aspects of it, all different varieties, how you can find options, where you can get information and answers.
Okay.
Nutrition, the same thing. We're not talking about a special diet. We're talking about just balancing what you're eating to understand your carb protein ratio to start to eat better foods.
Gotcha.
And then it will kind of fix itself. Okay. Mindfulness. Again, do I have to sit and meditate? Some people can't meditate. So it explains all aspects of mindfulness, how it can help you, which ways that might serve you better than someone else.
Right.
Options.
There's no one answer for anybody.
There is no one answer.
You don't have to stand on the circle and squeeze the Charmin and be fear-mongering. You've got a whole list here, and you can find what piques your interest.
See the toolbox? That's what I'm getting to right now. See the toolbox. What's under mindfulness? Take a look at that.
Breathing techniques, music therapy, singing, social support, laughing, smiling, meditation, laughing, smiling. So the other night on top, so I was telling you about a segment that I did. I did a ladies segment, and it was this gentleman, I think he was Australian, and he was skip roping, but he was skip roping like I've never seen before. It was amazing. It was art, and it was really fun to watch. But
it calmed you down.
It calmed me down, but it also made me think, oh, I might want to try that. I'd probably trip myself and end up injuring myself, but it made me think. And then the laughing and smiling right after that came this guy doing some comedy. And I realized I had not laughed in months for no reason.
Yep. So that was a mindfulness technique.
I like that.
You.
Nature walk, hikes, gardening, puzzles, painting, drawing, cooking, walking, pottery. It's endless. But that gets the juices flowing. It makes you think, oh, can I do horseback riding? It's not in there, Marie.
But I put a disclaimer at the bottom.
Yeah.
Anything that gives you a sense of peace, makes you feel more connected and in the present moment is mindful. Yep. It doesn't have to be sitting going, I don't want to think. I don't want to think. Can't think. That's not mindfulness. It's just being present in what you're doing, being part of it, understanding it. And
smell the roses.
Yes, pretty much.
Hug the tree.
So that's your toolbox. It's endless for exercise, nutrition, mindfulness, all that.
Cool.
Okay, then I have a whole segment on connecting to your body within, access to my meditations. I wrote a couple new ones for that.
Oh, good.
The endless possibilities in healing. It talks all about that. We talk about the CAB, chaos breeds chaos, and how to bring CAB into your life if you need to de-stress. A bunch of affirmations you can use, what they are, why we have them. When you're overwhelmed, for all those people who say, I don't know what to do, I'm tired, I'm depressed, there's a list a mile long of things to try and ways to connect with yourself. And then there's also, I have a list. If you're on meds, write down your meds. Do your meds have side effects? Do you experience any of those side effects? So if you do, what are you doing to try to mitigate that? Are you adding any of that? Because that's where a lot of the illness comes from, is you have side effects, but you're not paying attention to them and your body's wearing out.
Got you. And I think by writing them down, I like that idea that you've got them.
There's an actual log in here to do that.
Perfect. So you can write down your meds, you can write down.
And then it tells you. And then the tools you're using out of these to try to help mitigate them. Then you have a symptom tracker, for you, shoulder pain, back pain, maybe sinuses. What are you trying to mitigate in your health? So again, you're going to go look for those answers and add them to your daily program.
And now it's right in front of you. You can look at it.
So you know what you're trying to do, because people have dry mouth all the time, right? Then all of a sudden they get strep throat over it because they never did anything to mitigate it. You know, you might have ankle pain all the time and your swollen ankles. You never put your feet up. But I have swollen ankles all the time. I'm going to make sure I put my feet up once a day and make sure you check it off. Set yourself a plan, but it's not just nutrition. It's not just exercise. It's your whole body, your whole picture.
It's your approach. It's your mind.
Then talks about goal settings, on how to set a goal, how to set up a program for yourself. So then you go and you fill out your goals according to what you learned about yourself with the meds and the symptoms. So then you set your goals. And then from there you have a log, where you can do weekly plans. I've got a whole month's worth of logs in here that you can log and take care of yourself for a month. And then at the end, there's a journal. If you want to learn more about yourself, how did today go? Well, I hated this today. I really hated doing that exercise today. So tomorrow you try something different.
Right. And see if a pattern
Learn
emerges.
about yourself. And even in the logs, the self-help parts, it tells you, I did this today, but I really didn't like that. Or I did the posture for life and I found my left leg wasn't moving right. 2 weeks down the road, you realize, oh my God, my left leg finally moves. I see that. So now I'm adding on to that. What can I do next? But it's a way to try to bring your health all into one place, learn all the aspects of it, and try to come up with your own program. Because there isn't a practitioner alive that's going to do that for you.
No.
One of them's going to give you a supplement. One of them's going to give you a med. One of them's going to tell you to exercise but not tell you what to do.
Right.
So if we want to stop backing up the ERs, because now they're talking, I think almost 50% of the entire population is obese. So everybody's being put on the weight loss drugs because that's going to stop all the healthcare costs from rising. So now we're going to be subjected to that. But that's a whole nother show we're going to do. We're going to talk about that. So it's up to us to decide, how do we want our journey to progress? Do we want to stay breaking down and end up in the ER constantly? Or do we want to say, hey, body, what do you need?
Right. Take back the control.
I'm going to learn about you. This may be painful in the beginning because I never thought to look at 3 areas of my life and make a plan. But, you do a daily check-in. I love the daily check-in at night. I just lay there. I go, how did my day go? Oh my God, I was so stressed. But I had my lunch and I sat and relaxed and my nutrition really saved me. I got my brain fog out of it and then I got back to work. Tomorrow I'm going to plan a little better because I know I have an even busier day. I'm going to make sure I have better nutrition. I have this and I have that. Did I get my exercises in? No. So I'm going to make sure I take time to at least go for a walk. You do a daily plan before you go to bed because you know what's going to happen the next day.
Right. So you're not trying to jam it all in last minute when you get up. Oh, I should have. I could have.
Right.
Yep. Very nice.
So like I said,
brilliant.
It's on Amazon. I tried to make it as affordable as possible. Like I said, there's a whole month in here. So you can really get started and start learning about yourself.
And if you're going to do it for a while, I'd suggest you make a few copies on the machine and start off there, and then you can just continue to make
if I get some
copies of
good
the blinks.
feedback on my Awakened Wellness, I'll put up a feedback site just for this. And if people are doing it and they want me to put out just a small refill, I can do that as well.
Yep.
I just don't want to bombard people with things, but I'm more than happy to put out just the refill with the journal part and all the charts in it too, that you can just refill once a month to do that.
Well, you can
for
also
yourself.
maybe go onto your website and be able to download it there once
that's a
they've
great
already
idea.
purchased the book.
That's a great idea.
I think that would be great to be able to go there and download the pages for you.
That's a great idea. So let's
welcome.
write that down.
You're welcome.
I never even thought of that.
It just popped into my mind that would be a great place, sort of a thank you for subscribing and helping you go forward and helping all the people that could use this self-help and awareness and moving forward.
Right. And it's something fun you could do with somebody.
Yeah.
You could find somebody to connect with and say, what did you learn about yourself?
Yeah.
Instead of, what are you eating today on that diet? What new recipe did you create on that diet? Did you lose 10 pounds? What did you learn about yourself today? Does your back feel better?
Yeah.
Because nobody cares that you're in pain. Nobody cares that you're struggling with your health every day. Nobody cares that your breathing's off. But if you're doing it with someone else and you're kind of creating more of a self-help community for yourself versus...
Well, you might get some observations as well.
Well, tell me somebody who's not in pain.
Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't have chronic pain or chronic illness.
It's everywhere.
Well, that's why our ERs are bogged down.
Yep.
Like I said, it might not be the perfect fit, but I think it's going to be a way to point you in the right direction so you can start to learn more about your body and take back control. And
what what we're actually capable of healing ourselves.
There's a lot of things we can do.
There's so many
ourselves.
things, and we're just been so indoctrinated, and this is all you can do. You got to do. There is so much that you can do to improve yourself, and it is mind over matter.
It is.
Unless you've been in an accident and cut your leg off or something, and I don't mean that to be facetious or anything, but there are some things you do need to go. But in the meanwhile, you can figure out, does that stretching help with that lower back pain? Does that, walking around the block, does that help with my endurance? if I, eat a little bit differently, maybe I have my big meal at lunch. Do I feel better? Do I have less indigestion at night? Little tiny things that we need to know about ourselves,
Right.
especially when we go around pointing the fingers. You got
Well,
three
it's
at
funny
yourself.
because my other project, as you saw,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh.
Okay,
this
so
is
this is
sweet.
a funny story.
Okay.
Okay, so probably about 6 or 7 years ago, my grandson Callan, he's like one of those kids that bounces off of everything, jumps off of everything. So we were out for a walk, and by the end of the walk, he had fallen off of everything, tried to climb everything, you name it. And then he was balancing on a curb, and he was teetering, and he was falling. And then, I don't know if it was my husband or someone else, said, Callan, you need talons, like a hawk, because you're falling again.
Yep.
So my oldest grandson and I started joking that we were going to write a kid's book on it. That Callan, you need talents.
Yeah.
So about 3 years ago, I wrote the book, but getting it illustrated was just a whole nother story and a whole nother expense with my work here and everything else. So I started playing with the AI. So I was able to illustrate it myself with AI.
Oh, really? There's a positive about AI.
Yeah, see, I did all the illustrations myself.
Nice.
But it's really funny because I did it and it made me create a Discovering Me series on my website as well for kids.
Okay.
Because the whole book is about children discovering how their body moves. So this is the step of what we need to do to get them to not have to deal with this later in life because they'll already know their body.
Right.
They'll already become more self-aware. So Callan in the story tries to act like he's a spider, and Mom says, you're not a spider, you're a boy. And she explains why he can't climb a wall like a spider. Because his hands do this, the spider's hands do that. The same as a monkey, the same as a monkey, an owl, and a kangaroo.
Okay.
Yeah. So he tries to act like the animal and do what the animal does, but obviously his body isn't designed
that
like an
way.
animal. So I compare it to, so it's more of a learning curve. It's kind of a learning type book to help children start to connect with their body and learn how their body moves, so they have some sense of awareness. Because as adults, we have no idea.
Correct. We just
People don't
Go
even
forward.
understand when they're not walking correctly, when their balance is off, when their posture's off. So if we can start young. So I have one on nutrition I'm working on, and I have one on anxiety I'm working on as well.
good.
And I'm going to use animals again because nature is our best teacher.
Correct.
Our best teacher.
I mean, put a bird feeder in your backyard and just sit there.
Yeah. But I want
That's
children
amazing.
to have a foundation. You know, my grandsons are very body aware. They understand how their body moves. They understand when it's off. And I'd like that for every child.
It should be that way. It should
should be.
actually be taught in school. We need
Right.
that more than some of the garbage that's
But
there
they have
right
to
now, but-
understand that they have a body first.
Correct.
Not just that they have a liver, a kidney, and they have organs and a skeleton. What is their body and what does it do and how does it serve them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind
Without
of-
getting too complicated.
Exactly. Kind of like that game operation. This is connected to this. This is connected
Yes.
to that. This is
So
kind of
this is
written.
kind of connected to that.
Oh, I love it.
And that's on the website.
Callan needs talons. I love
Yeah.
it. Grab on. Oh my goodness. This has been a fabulous show. I love this.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely amazed that you were able to write this book.
Well, it's been up here forever, and I'm in the process of working with a functional medicine practitioner, and we're doing a whole course on Parkinson's. That's our first course. So it's going to have everything from picking a practitioner to understanding how it's diagnosed, how the meds work, the alternatives that could work for it, all the things you can do for yourself to help it. It's going to be a whole thing that you can just sit there and click, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that. How do I do this? And just a ton of resources versus... It's one of the hardest things is very few neurologists. These people are going a year or two without seeing anybody. They are so lost in the shuffle right now. I can't even tell you. It's awful with the healthcare that we have.
Yeah.
So if I can give them a way to start to claim back their power, I'm all in.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Appointments are 9 months
It's
out,
not
a
going to
year
be
out.
a quick fix. Nothing I'm giving anybody is a quick fix.
But they're
it's,
being
you gotta-
empowered.
I'm empowering you to take back your health, not to give it away.
Yeah. Not be reliant on that
Yeah.
thing in the sky.
And I'm not telling you to do one thing. I'm telling you the whole picture. If you don't see yourself in a global way, you'll never be well.
Wow.
It's just the way it goes.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Happy New Year, everybody. You now have your homework. Get busy. And we want feedback. Miss Marie wants feedback because this is, I love this. Taking your power back, empowering yourself to know who you are, what your body is, and what you're capable of. And we are perfectly made. Don't ever forget that. See you next time.